Hi friends, this is Krish, the Urban Naxal. Friends, yesterday I posted a video about securitization at Lodha Azura, which is one of the projects which is a part of Lodha Palava City project. It's a kind of a it's a part of a project which is part of a mega project, Lodha Palava City. Now, I realized that what I explained may not be very clear, and the explanation itself came much later on in the video. The conversation was with one Manoj Vishwakarma, who's about 3 lakh rupees has been forfeited as booking amount. There's been a lot of confusion in that transaction itself. The way he was sold, it's very confusing. But let's leave that alone. I want to explain the securitization issue again, because securitization concerns all flat buyers, all. Not just Lodha, not just Palava, all flat buyers or most flat buyers of large builders. Builders like Lodha, Runwal, Godrej, Rustomji, you name it, will probably have the same clause. And this clause is dangerous to you, is toxic to you as a flat buyer. Now, I'm going to explain this, and while explaining this, I'm going to tell you clearly why you are at risk, how this clause places you at risk. Now, I'm going to read, this is clause number or para number 6 of the agreement downloaded from RERA website of Lodha Azura. Here's what it says. It says securitization of total consideration. The purchaser hereby grants his irrevocable consent to the company to securitize the total consideration and or part thereof and the amounts receivable by the company. And so you don't know what securitize means, so you're going to say, yeah, okay, fine. It sounds good. It sounds, to the ears, it sounds like a good thing. Securitize must be to make it more secure. It sounds innocuous and it sounds very corporate. The main thing here is, when a corporate does something and it couches it in these corporate type phrases, it sounds okay, it sounds legal. It is legal as a matter of fact. It's not illegal. So it says that you have authorized them, okay, to securitize the total consideration, which is the amount that you are going to pay to the company throughout the length of your transaction. Remember, this is under construction property. So you will be required to pay slab wise if it is construction linked, or you will be asked to pay according to a schedule if it is linked to a schedule, or your bank will be asked to pay if you have taken a loan. So there are various payment arrangements, but one way or another your payment is going to get stretched out over a few years. Could be 2 years, could be 3 years, could be more, could turn out to be more. Now, you have authorized them to securitize the amounts receivable, the total consideration and or parts thereof, okay, and amounts receivable by the company from you. Hereunder is in the contract, in the agreement, and to assign to the banks and financial institutions the right to directly receive from the purchaser. Now this is where the danger creeps in. Directly receive from the purchaser the total consideration or part thereof. and or the amounts payable herein. Now, and or the amounts payable herein means whether it is consideration or whether whatever else it is, it could be tax, whatever you say it is, there is going to be no distinction. All of it can be passed on. Just 1 second, please. All of it can be securitized, that is, it can be assigned to a bank or a financial institution to receive it directly from you. Now, what is the significance of directly? Directly means Lodha will sort of step off. It will not be in between you and the bank. They may say, no, now you pay the bank directly. We are no longer part of the party. So a bank or a financial institution, okay. It could be a bank or financial institution for one part of it. They could say, okay, now you pay this to ICICI Bank. Okay, then they may stop and say, okay, now you pay this to HDFC. They may stop and they may say the whole thing now onwards you're going to pay to a particular financial institution. Lodha can effectively step out of the picture. What is the concern? I'll explain this. Let me finish reading it. It is further agreed that any such securitization shall not lead to an increase in total consideration paid by the purchaser for the unit, and any payment made by the purchaser to the company or any bank or financial institution nominated by the company in writing shall be treated as being towards the fulfillment of the obligations of the purchaser under this agreement to the extent of such payment. So, as you continue to pay, your payment obligations get reduced. So, suppose you had to pay Lodha 50 lakh rupees for a flat purchased in Lodha, Azura in Palava city, and you paid 40 lakhs, that means only 10 remains to be paid, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the clause. Now, what is securitization? I am going to explain this in common man's terms first of all, and I am going to explain to you why it is dangerous for you. Securitization is, if you wish, I can even, I'll give you a Google, a Googled up definition. So let us look at the definition of what is securitization. So when you securitize a loan, you are a bank. I'll give you this. You are a bank. People have taken a loan from you. They have to return it, and they are going to return it in installments, in EMIs. So you know that if you have given 50 crore rupees as a loan, you know what your receivables are based on that 50 crore. You lent 50 crore to, let us say, 50 individuals. So 1 crore per individual. Based on that, you know what is the EMI that you are getting. It's all a fixed quantity, unless they breach their contract, in which case a different set of circumstances comes into play. Otherwise, assuming that people will not breach the contract, assuming that people will pay their loan as per schedule, you can be sure that you are going to get X amount of money every month. So let us say the total EMIs add up to 2 crore rupees per month. Then you take those 2 crore rupees per month, which is coming from 50 individuals, you kind of put them in a box. Think of it as putting them into a box and then selling it to someone. And what are the boxes? The boxes are 1 box per each month. So we are now in May 2022. There's a box for receivables of May 2022, June 2022, July 2022, and so on, all the way for the next, let us say, 3 years, till May 2025. I can assign different values, or the market will assign different values to these boxes of 2 crore rupees receivable. So suppose I want to sell the May box or the June box to another bank. He will say, okay, for the June box which is coming immediately, I won't pay 2 crore. For whatever reason, he will say, because there's a world war happening and there's likelihood of default and all that, I'll pay 1.8 crore. And I will say, okay, done. I want the money right now. I don't want to wait until after the Russian invasion of Ukraine is over. I want this money right now. So here you take this 2 crore rupees receivable box and give me 1.8 crore. Now 1.8 crore becomes mine. I can do what I want with it. I'm a bank. I just take it. Okay. And I give him that box. And then I tell all the people who are supposed to be paying me, you don't pay me now, you pay this guy. You pay directly to this guy. So what I have done is I have securitized the asset. Now let us say the May 2025, 3 years later, I can sell that. And for whatever reason they say, oh, but the value of money is likely to be higher and rupee may appreciate against the dollar and so on and so forth. So someone else will pay me 2.2 crores for the 2 crore rupees box. I can sell it to him. Now the more I sell to him, who am I now? I am the bank. The more I sell to him, the less loan burden I am now carrying. I have effectively monetized the fact that I have given out a loan. I have given the loan, I have forgotten about it. I can forget about it, I can get out of the industry if I wish. I need not continue to be in the business of giving and recovering loans if I am a bank. This is how securitization works. Now, how does it work in the case of a builder? Suppose a builder has a receivable. He has tied you into a contract. He says, this is the schedule. You will pay X amount of money to me. So out of 50 lakhs, you are going to pay, you meaning the bank, let us say the bank who's loaned you money, the home loan. Let us say they have divided it into 10 different disbursals, and each disbursal has a time. He can securitize that and sell it to the people who have given him a project loan on the exact same, so 10 boxes can be sold to a bank or a financial institution. The difficult part is here, having sold it to a bank or a financial institution, the builder then has very little reason to carry on with his contractual obligations. He could exit the project entirely. Lodha can just sell it off to someone else and walk away. And then that someone else is left with the responsibility of giving you a flat. See, there is a contractual obligation. There are two sides to it. One side is you have to pay money according to the installments as per the agreement. You have to pay money to Lodha. That's one side of it. What is the other side of it? The other side of it becomes due only when possession date comes. That is, it becomes due, let us say in 2023 or 24 or 25. In this case, I think it was 2023 or 24. Lodha Azura. But let us, for the sake of discussion, say 2025 May. It will become due in 2025 May. Now, if Lodha, for whatever reason, fails to construct anything between now and 2025 May, you cannot even go to RERA. You can't go to RERA and say, see, there is no construction activity. RERA is going to say, boss, sit quiet. You are only going to start raising this issue after the delivery date passes. Then you start raising the issue. But in the meanwhile, Lodha can sell this, can securitize it, and can move out. Now, in the case of Lodha Azura, I'm going to make a separate video about how they have diluted or they are diluting their contractual obligations, and that makes it even more scary. I'm going to explain this in a separate video because this is a separate kind of a dilution of the contract. But suffice it to say that even if there were no such dilution, the contract is diluted for you while the contract is extremely firm for the other side. You are supposed to pay the money no matter what, whether there is construction activity going on at the site or not. You are supposed to pay the money. And every court in India is going to hold you to it. Even if you realize that there is no construction activity happening on the site, zero, you will be held to the contract, to the terms of the contract. And these people can effectively sell your side of the contract to whosoever they want. For example, what happens if they sell it to a completely incompetent builder, a new builder? Let us call it Pathan, Singh and Sawant builders. Just some guys, Patel, some guys whom you never heard of. Some guys from rural Gujarat say they are builders, and for some reason Lodha in their wisdom decide to sell it to these guys. You have bought a flat in Lodha, Palava city, it will now become a Pathan Palava city or a Patel Palava city. What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything about it because they have sold it. They will say it's a corporate transaction. You have sold it. You now pay to Pathan or Patel or whoever. We have nothing to do with it. We are out of this. It's a corporate transaction and it's legitimate. Alternatively, as you know, Lodha has now been renamed as Macrotech. Macrotech could divest itself. Lodha, who is the owner of Macrotech, might disappear from Macrotech. It might be sold to some other builder or some other financial institution. It could be sold to a financier like say Piramal. So Macrotech, you bought it thinking you are buying Lodha, turns out it becomes a Piramal project or a diluted project between Piramal and some other, whoever, L&T and God knows what conglomerate. You have no security whatsoever. Let me remind you that in an ordinary agreement or contract, you always have the option of not paying. So, if you realize that there is non-performance from the other side, what are you going to do? You're going to clamp up. You're going to say, no, I refuse to pay until I see the performance happening. Okay? Here, you have no such safety because that guy may not even be in the picture anymore. In any case in under construction, you have no safety because they are going to say you have to wait till possession date. And this hazard becomes even more pronounced if the possession date shifts because of force majeure. So what is force majeure? COVID was force majeure. You have seen that possession date shifted 6 months, 18 months, sometimes even more. RERA has given such increases in possession date. Now, RERA does not necessarily apply its mind to what happens to you, the buyer. Your interest burden increases because you are not getting your house to live in, and your a large part of your disbursal has already happened. You are already paying EMI on that. You are already paying interest on that. Your interest burden increases. Second thing is, if you have expected a house in 2023 from Azura, and then they say, oh, no, we'll give you in 2025 or 2026 because World War, because material shortages. They will convince RERA. But what happens to you? You will then continue paying rent till 2026, till the time you get a possession of your flat. So, you're paying interest plus you're paying all that. So, you are at burden, you are at risk. You are at risk of default. You are at risk of default because of the same force majeures, your salary, your business income, your whatever income, rental income, etc., may be threatened. If this Russian invasion of Ukraine becomes a world war, assumes the dimensions of a world war as it very clearly seems to be, or if the terrific bombing of Ukraine, which has more or less leveled cities, entire cities, rendering them completely unlivable. So that means a lot of the construction material is now going to go there after the war is over. It's going to lead to a spiraling increase in international prices of cement, steel, whatnot. Who's going to bear the brunt of that? You are. You are going to bear the brunt of it because the possession date will keep moving forward. 2024, 2025, 2026 and so on. RERA cannot stop them because they say, oh, if we stop them, then there's going to be a default. That's going to lead to problems. So they are not going to stop them from sliding the date forward. They are not going to let you slide your payment dates forward. You have to pay. You have already paid. You paid a substantial amount. So you are at risk and you are at loss in this kind of a transaction. This is, in a nutshell, the danger of securitization. I will have to explain this again. I will explain it in the context of another project. I am your friend Krish, the Urban Naxal. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan.